I still remember the exact moment my career trajectory changed forever. I was sitting in Marcus's corner office, sunlight streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows, watching him shuffle papers on his desk while avoiding eye contact. I'd requested this meeting 3 weeks earlier to discuss the senior analyst position that had just opened up, a role I'd been working toward for nearly 4 years. "Look, Sarah," Marcus finally said, leaning back in his leather chair, "you're good at what you do, really good, but you're just not promotion ready yet." The words hung in the air like a verdict. Not promotion ready. After 4 years of 60-hour weeks, of volunteering for every difficult project, of mentoring 3 new hires, of consistently exceeding my targets. I felt my face flush hot, but I kept my voice steady. "Can you help me understand what specific areas I need to develop?" I asked, pulling out the notebook I'd brought specifically to take notes on his feedback. Marcus waved his hand dismissively. "It's not any one thing, it's just a feeling. You need more seasoning. Give it another year or two." That's when I knew. There would always be another year or two, another metric to meet, another invisible bar to clear. I'd seen this pattern before with other employees, particularly women in our department. My colleague James had been promoted to senior analyst after just 2 years, despite having a weaker performance record. When I'd asked Marcus about it at the time, he'd said James showed natural leadership presence. I thanked Marcus for his time, returned to my desk, and opened a blank document. Not to work on the quarterly report due that Friday, but to update my resume. The decision wasn't impulsive, despite how it might have looked. I'd been ignoring red flags for months. The company had a pattern of promising growth opportunities that never materialized. My last 3 performance reviews had been glowing, yet my salary had barely kept pace with inflation. I'd been told I was invaluable to the team, which I'd come to realize was code for "we need you doing exactly what you're doing, indefinitely." That evening, I called my mentor, Dr. Patricia Chen, a former professor who'd become a trusted advisor. I explained the situation, half expecting her to counsel patience. "Sarah," she said after a long pause, "what's your opportunity cost here? Every year you wait for them to recognize your worth is a year you're not building equity somewhere that actually values you." Her words crystallized something I'd been avoiding. I wasn't leaving because I was angry or hurt, though I was both. I was leaving because staying meant accepting that my career growth was in the hands of someone who had already decided not to invest in it. Over the next 2 weeks, I quietly activated my network. I reached out to former colleagues, attended industry events, and applied to positions that genuinely excited me. I was strategic and selective, targeting companies known for promoting from within and with clear advancement paths. The response was overwhelming. Within 10 days, I had 3 interviews scheduled. Within 3 weeks, I had 2 offers, both for senior analyst positions with salaries 15% higher than what I was currently making. One company even offered a clear 18-month path to a management role. When I walked into Marcus's office with my resignation letter, his reaction was almost comical. His eyes widened, and he actually stood up from his desk. "Sarah, let's talk about this. Is this about the promotion? Because we can revisit that conversation. Maybe we can accelerate your timeline." I smiled politely. "I appreciate that, Marcus, but I've accepted another position. My last day will be 2 weeks from Friday." "Another position? Where? How much are they paying you? We can match it." This was the part that almost made me laugh. Now suddenly my worth was negotiable. Now there was room in the budget. Now my timeline could be accelerated. "It's not just about money," I said, and I meant it. "I need to be somewhere that sees my potential without me having to prove it exists first." The next 2 weeks were revealing. Suddenly, my opinions mattered in meetings. Marcus asked for my input on strategic decisions he'd never consulted me on before. HR scheduled an exit interview where they seemed genuinely confused about why I was leaving such a great opportunity. But the most telling moment came during my farewell lunch with my team. Jenna, one of the analysts I'd mentored, pulled me aside. "I'm updating my resume too," she confided. "Watching you advocate for yourself gave me permission to do the same." That's when I realized my resignation wasn't just about me. It was a statement about what I would and wouldn't accept, and it gave others permission to expect more for themselves too. I've been at my new company for 8 months now. I was promoted to lead analyst after 6 months, and I'm currently being groomed for a director-level position. My manager has quarterly development conversations with me, and there's a clear rubric for advancement. No vague, seasoning, requirements, or mysterious presence, evaluations. Do I sometimes wonder what would have happened if I'd stayed and fought harder? Honestly, no. Because the fight was never really about one promotion. It was about whether I was willing to spend my career trying to convince someone of my value, or whether I'd go somewhere that recognized it from the start. Marcus eventually hired someone to replace me, a recent MBA grad with half my experience. I heard through the grapevine that they promoted him to senior analyst within a year. I wasn't promotion ready, apparently, but I was ready for something better.